Hi Scorpio, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of April 2022. We are currently in Aries season, and the sun is transiting in the cardinal fire sign of Aries, which is very action-oriented. Mercury, the planet of communication and business and marketing, is also transiting in Aries, as well as Chiron, the wounded healer. And this brings healing and opportunities in your house of work, a lot of action and networking and levity as well. But there's a stellium of planets in the fixed air sign of Aquarius as we begin the month. We are in the new age of Aquarius, which began on December 20th of 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter met up for a new 20-year vision. And they met up in your house of home and emotional foundation. A lot of focus on home, real estate, and getting your needs met. And Saturn will be in this house for you until March 7th of 2023. But currently, Vesta, which is the asteroid of hearth and home, Mars, the planet of action, and the ancient ruler of your sign, Venus, the planet of love and money, Juno, which is an asteroid that represents partnering, and Saturn, the planet of commitment and structure and accountability, are all transiting at the bottom of your chart in the house of home and family. So focusing on how you can take action to get your needs met and, fix up your space. If you work from home, how you can make that more effective. And there's a big Pisces story which will escalate later in the month. Jupiter and Neptune, which are both the rulers of Pisces, are lighting up your house of romance and creativity and love affairs. Jupiter will be there on and off until December 20th. This gives a lot of romantic options, a lot of creative options, and hopefully expansion in creativity, but having fun, in a very difficult time. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. It's the higher octave of Venus. It represents pure and selfless love on the higher realm. It's very spiritual. It represents the dream. On the lower or more challenging level, it can represent fear or delusion or deception. Obviously, you want to work with the manifesting and magical energy of Jupiter and Neptune. And they will peak from April 9th through April 12th. And on April 12th, they're going to meet up exactly at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of the sign of Pisces. And this is the first time in more than 165 years, because Neptune takes that long to transit, and having them both in the sign that they rule, really manifesting energy. So focusing on finding your joy in a sad time in the world. So we begin the month, and there is a new moon that takes place on March 31st at 11:24 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on April 1st at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 11 degrees and 30 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. And this new moon occurs in your house of routine, habits, and health. And it's a very energizing and powerful new moon because the sun loves being in Aries. It's exalted there. And this brings new beginnings if you're trying to get in shape, if you're trying to get your work to another level, if you're trying a nutrition program, maybe you're getting into spiritual practice, whatever that might be. And the sun meets up with Chiron, the wounded healer, at 10:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A lot of healing energy and bringing light to that area. And then on April 2nd, Mercury and Chiron meet up at 9:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, bringing more emphasis on positive thinking in order to heal. Really, the mind is so powerful in what it can achieve. And then later that day, the Sun and Mercury meet up at 7:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. More emphasis on positive thinking in your habits and your routines. Maybe you're doing daily affirmations. Definitely do the law of abundance, set intentions, plant new seeds. This is a very powerful new moon. And Jupiter and Neptune are building up with this new moon, so very manifesting energy is accessible as well. On April 2nd, on April 3rd rather, the moon is in the fixed earth sign of Taurus, which is your opposite sign, and it meets up with Uranus, the planet of surprise and the unexpected, at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring unexpected events with friends. Maybe there's a change of plans with the relationships, but whatever you think it is, it's something else. It could be an unexpected invitation. It could be an unexpected meeting. Could be unexpected friction too, but whatever it is, it's an unpredictable day. On April 5th, Venus, which is the planet of love and money, changes signs and enters the mutable water sign of Pisces at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will be until May 2nd. More energy and focus on your house of romance, love, and joy. And Venus is transiting in a beautiful placement because it's exalted in Pisces, very loving, very romantic, and it's a fellow water sign, very compatible with your own. So that's lovely. And then on April 7th, Mercury and Saturn form a helpful aspect at 8:37 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that could bring helpful opportunities with work, solid communication with family, and it's just good for business and clear, solid communication. On April 8th, that's a very fortuitous day because Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, forms a helpful aspect to the North Node of Destiny. This is more emphasis on your relationships, a lot of emphasis on love affairs and partnerships for you this month. Jupiter and Neptune form what's known as a sextile, an aspect of opportunity at 3:21 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This could bring faded romantic meetings. This could bring opportunities in so many ways. Pay attention to whom you meet and what comes up around that time. And then on the following day, on April 9th, Jupiter and Neptune are starting to really meet up in the sky, and they peak on April 12th. But on April 9th, they're conjunct, and the moon is transiting in Libra, making good aspects to both Jupiter and Neptune. Very romantic energy, very spiritual, very loving energy. Really, really work with manifesting what makes your heart chakra happy, because that's where this pairing is occurring, and it's really healing for all of us on the collective. On April 10th, Mercury, which is the planet of communication, squares Pluto, which is the ruler of your sign, at 4:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that could bring power struggles conceivably. It could bring, it could bring arguments, but my feeling is because the Jupiter-Neptune pairing is so healing, Venus is so beautiful in Pisces, it's more about eliminating habits and negative thinking in order to really maximize this this not unprecedented, but this pairing that will not happen for a really long time after this, April 9th or April 12th. So really working with the healing and manifesting Jupiter-Neptune story. Later on the 10th, Mercury changes signs and enters the sign of Taurus at 10:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will be until April 29th in your house of partnerships and relationships. So now the North Node is there, Mercury, a lot of communication, and Uranus, the planet of brilliance, chaos, and surprise. So a lot of a lot of action, a lot of, if you're working with others, a lot of communication in many different ways. Could be a lot of socializing as well. And on April 12th, Jupiter and Neptune meet up exactly at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of Pisces in your house of love affairs, fun, joy, and the heart chakra. So really working with that beautiful story. On April 14th, Mars, which is the ancient ruler of your sign, the planet of action and passion, enters the sign of Pisces in your house of romance and fun, where it will be until April 24th, and it enters there at 11:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then on April 16th, there's a full moon that takes place at 2:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 26 degrees and 46 minutes of the cardinal air sign of Libra in your house of dreams and endings and imagination. You may have some very powerful dreams at that time. The full moon itself is squaring Pluto, which is the ruler of your sign, so that could bring endings, that could bring, maybe you're releasing things that are blocking you from happiness, or maybe something from the past you need to release. Maybe it's negative thinking, again, that you need to release, because Capricorn rules your house of thinking, and Pluto is transiting in the sign of Capricorn. But nonetheless, it's a big time, because Saturn is squaring the nodes of fate. There may be fated choices we all have to make around that time. And then on April 17th, Mercury and Venus are in harmony, and they meet up at 9:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's good for communication and socializing. And then Mercury meets up with Uranus at 11:51 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on April 18th at 12:51 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in your house of relationships. You may get unexpected news. You may get an unexpected invitation. There could be some chaos with relationships, but whatever you think it is, it'll be something else. And then on April 18th, Venus and Uranus form a harmonious aspect at 3:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is very creative and innovative energy, and it's good for relationship opportunities for you, conceivably, and having some fun, hopefully. But also on the 18th, the Sun squares Pluto at 11:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring definite power struggles. It could definitely bring endings, and lay low with that, because that is an intense day, even though it's very creative too. And then on April 19th, the Sun enters the sign of Taurus at 10:09 p.m. at 10:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will be until May 20th, lighting up your house of relationships. So now there are more planets in that area of your chart as well. A lot of emphasis on the 7th house of relationships and the 5th house of romance and fun. So that's more energy in that area of your life. And then on April 24th, Mercury squares Saturn, the planet of restrictions and delays, at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring challenges with relatives, conceivably, or with partnerships. Maybe there are some delays, with that energy. On April 26th, Mercury and Jupiter form a lovely aspect, and that occurs at 10:11 p.m. Pacific Daylight, 10:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's really nice energy, very good for optimistic thinking and partnering for you. It could bring partnering opportunities. On April 28th, Mercury trines Pluto. That's an aspect, it's a flow of energy. It's a very lucky aspect at 8:05 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's very empowering thinking and communication. On the following day, Pluto, again the ruler of your sign, the planet of power, death, regeneration, and transformation, stations retrograde at 28 degrees and 36 minutes of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn. And we feel that 5 days before and 5 days after. Major endings, major beginnings, major shifts. And this occurs at 2:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in your house of communication. You might get some really big news around that time. And Mercury does change signs later that day at 6:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It enters the mutable air sign of Gemini, where it will be on and off until July 4th in your house of joint resources, taxes, debt, as well as healing and transformation, and dealing with loss, which many of us are. So bringing attention to that area. And the Pluto station's a big deal, but add to that fact that there is a partial solar eclipse on April 30th at, let's see, when is it? I just forgot. It's at, oh my gosh, at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus. And that's your opposite sign. It occurs in your house of relationships. It is like a new moon on steroids, although I find sometimes there are major endings on solar eclipses and major beginnings on lunar eclipses, which are like full moons on steroids. But you know, it's a lot of activity in your sector of relationships. You know, it can bring heightened anxiety and a lot of change. You can get unexpected news that could change your life forever. There are eventful things that happen all around us on the news, on the world stage, but also with our friends, our colleagues, and in our own lives. And this, you know, eclipses wake us up and shake us up. And this new moon eclipse happens to be conjunct Uranus, the planet of chaos, brilliance, and the unexpected. And Uranus has been transiting back and forth at approximately the degree of the new moon eclipse. So that brings more of an awakening factor to this eclipse and unpredictability. We've got so much Piscean energy, which is very romantic and creative. We want to work with that. The very end of the month could be unpredictable, could be very exciting, could liberate you from things too. Have a good month. It's going to be a big one, and take care. Thank you.